Dominator is one of the largest B&M Floorless coasters out there today. It opened at King's Dominion on May 24th of 2008. Stands a whopping height of 157 feet tall with a drop of 148 feet with the length of over 4,200 feet with speeds of up to 65 miles an hour as it zooms through 5 inversions and has a plethora of massive Floorless Coaster track. We are here to review the Floorless Coaster in King's Dominion Dominator, a ride that literally has its own corner to itself, located at the front of the park at King's Dominion. I'm glad I got to get on this ride once during my visit in 2024 for Winterfest, and I'm here to review it for you guys today. Let's talk about Dominator. Throughout this ride's lifespan, it has always been called Dominator. However, it has never been actually relocated in 2008. In the year 2000, it actually opened up at a park called Geauga Lake in Ohio when it was once called Six Flags Ohio. I wonder how Geauga Lake's doing right now, speaking of which.
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes.
Oof, that's a little rough. Well, anyway, let's talk about Dominator now. When you enter King's Dominion, you're going to make your way to the left side of the park, go all the way to the left side, that first turn on the left, and you'll make your way all the way down through where there's probably going to be absolutely nothing now because they removed Berserker. Great job, King's Dominion. And that means the only thing you'll find there is the Dominator. And that is where our destination lies. It is the first roller coaster that you will come across at King's Dominion. It is the closest roller coaster in front of the park, which in theory would make it the most popular. At least in my visit, it actually was a station wait, but I'm pretty sure this ride has a much busier wait than usual. But then again, it was only the first time I've been to the park, so I could be very wrong in that, and I hope I am wrong. But let's talk about the ride itself. Once you get through and past the big massive sign, the entrance for the ride is going to be on the right-hand side. Make your way through the queue, up to the station, and you'll board your ride. It is a standard Floorless coaster train with 8 cars per train. They usually could run 3 trains at once. They were running 2 trains, which still kept moving as per normal. Luckily, this ride has bins on the other side when you board, so you're able to put all your loose items in there if you didn't want to keep them in your button or zipper pocket. That's totally up to you. Once you leave the station, you advance forward a little bit. You go through a little bit of a pre-drop segment with a little bit of turns as you turn to the right and ascend up your 157-foot height lift hill. This lift hill heads to the direction where the remainder of the park is where you came from. After that, you do a pre-drop, and then you drop to the right-hand side 148 feet over a 57-degree vertical angle. After that, it goes over the pathway to where the ride entrance is. The color changes to yellow as you enter your massive 135-foot tall vertical loop. To my knowledge, it is one of the tallest vertical loops out there, which makes this very interesting and really cool. You definitely feel a lot of force going into that vertical loop. Speaking of force, after that loop, you go back into the rest of the track being orange as you go through a bunch of right-hand turns. You go around the Cobra Roll as you advance up towards the station through another turnaround and then dive back down towards your Cobra Roll. This is so weird, but it's so intense at the same time. I love the spacing out of the elements on this ride, and you really get a lot of force out of these turns here. So after your Cobra Roll, not too snappy, not too bad, smooth, I would say. You go in through a sort of turn to the left as you make your way into the mid-course brake run on the opposite side of the lift hill. You drop back down, and then you slightly rise up a little bit as you enter your first corkscrew. These are interlocking corkscrews. You turn around as you're elevated up in the air, and then you go through another corkscrew after that. And then you would think the ride could end because the brake run is right there. But instead, the ride doesn't just do that yet. Instead, it does another turn before it drops back down and does a low to the ground section that swerves you right and left before you make your way up into the brake run. I think this is a really neat addition to the ride. I feel like for looping coasters, though, obviously the main goal are the inversions. So this is a very interesting Floorless coaster for me because, again, I feel like the ride should primarily focus on the inversions. That's what the B&M Floorless coasters are known to do. With this ride having a mix of turning elements as well as a mix of these low to the ground high banking elements with these little intense moments and subtle airtime, it kind of makes you wonder what the purpose of a ride is. And I kind of had to question that a little bit when I got off. Now, when I got off the ride, I will say that I really enjoyed it. When these low to the ground turns and such work, it has to work to a way where it's intense. And I'm glad to say that it definitely did. The ride, no doubt, is a very intense floorless coaster. Is it more intense than the other floorless coasters I've done? It's a little hard to say right now because, again, I've only done a handful of floorless coasters, but I will say that this one definitely is up there in terms of that ranking. I feel like Dominator did a good job at producing the elements that it has given for it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the ride is a relocation, so you would think that the ride might not run very well, but I actually thought the ride ran very, very well for it being a relocation. It's in a very odd spot in the park now, but I hope this ride definitely gets some love in a couple of flat ride neighbors down the road because I think this ride definitely has a place here in King's Dominion and it serves as a great fit for the park. Despite this Floorless coaster not being a true B&M looping coaster that I would have desired for this type of retraction, I do have to respect it for its sheer power and intensity. One of the most intense Floorless coasters that I have been on for certain. I really like the creativity that they were able to disguise with the turns plus the inversions, so it makes for a very diverse layout. It is one of the largest Floorless coasters out there, so they definitely had to get creative with what they could do with this ride so that they could still separate it from its other Floorless coaster counterparts. This roller coaster certainly earns my respect, and I'm very eager to try out the other roller coasters at King's Dominion so that way I could get to compare this ride more to its other friends in the park. It's a very good Floorless coaster. If I were to go against the other Floorless coasters I've done, it certainly ranks up there. And for what this ride offers, it definitely does need some help with some other flat rides in the area, but by itself, it's definitely a roller coaster that I would definitely go to ride in my off time, as it is definitely worth the dead end walk too. Let me know what you guys think of Dominator at King's Dominion. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and always thank your ride operators. Have an amazing rest of your day. I will see you all in the parks very soon. Goodbye.
Here we go.